Hello, everyone. I am back. My hair is up in a ponytail. Somebody's going to be like, "What happened to her hair?" But it's there. I've got it pulled up because today was exceedingly hot, and I had to do an event this morning. And the event was 2 hours away. I woke up at 5:30 this morning to go do this event. So I'm exhausted. I never took a nap. We've been having a thunderstorm here. But I have not been on camera in a while, and some of you may be thinking, who don't really know me, that this girl is not consistent. And actually, that isn't what the problem was. It's not that I'm not consistent. I'm a very, very consistent person. I would never be able to build a six-figure business if I were not consistent in my actions. However, this week past has, I don't even know how to explain it. Well, it's been a tough week, and it prompted me to do this particular video because it was a difficult week. So when everything starts falling apart, is it considered spiritual warfare? And I had to ask myself that, because there was one day in particular, I think it was Wednesday, when everything that could go wrong did go wrong. So my videos that I've been recording to upload to YouTube and to TikTok would not load. I could not get my videos to load. So I record my videos on my phone, and then I upload them to my laptop into the cloud. And for whatever reason, this process was not happening. It just wasn't happening. And so they were stuck. So I couldn't post the videos, and I couldn't figure it out. I was trying everything to figure that out. Then my Face ID on my iPhone stopped working. So I have Face ID on everything because I've been cyber stalked. So all of my apps have my Face ID. Well, the Face ID malfunctioned. And so I called Apple, and they said, you have to turn stolen device off for you to reset your Face ID. But every time I went to press that, toggle that on or toggle that off, or whatever you have to do to turn off the stolen device, it would make me wait an hour. And then I would go back an hour later, and it still wasn't working. So that process didn't work either. And so I could never reset my Face ID. So sometimes it would work, sometimes it wasn't. But it got to the point where I couldn't even make a phone call. I couldn't look at my text messages because my Face ID was just spinning. And it's still not fixed. It still isn't fixed. I'm hoping this video will get uploaded, but it's still not fixed. And I had to actually go and look at getting another phone. So then that happened. And then my outdoor camera on the side of my house stopped working, which has this big floodlight that comes on at night, because the side of my house, it's a corner unit. It's very it's pretty during the day. You can see all the deer and all the wildlife, but it's very dark on the side of my house. So when I bought this place, I had a camera installed on the side and in the back with floodlights. They hadn't been working for 3 days, and the guy just left a few minutes ago to fix it. So then I was dealing with that, and nervous about, somebody coming up to the windows, because I have these Florida almost ceiling windows, and somebody coming up to that. I've had somebody stalking me for 17 years. So when you have that going on top of everything else, it makes you a little bit jittery. Anyway, so that wasn't working. Then in the middle of doing my Medicare certifications for 2027, while doing one of my specific certifications for one of the insurance companies, I was literally almost done with the certification. It took me about an hour to do it. I got this pop-up that said fatal error, and it stopped, and I had to start all over again. That happened twice. This was all on Wednesday night, just on Wednesday night. Then I got a horrible sinus infection for the entire week. The entire week, my sinuses were awful. I think I'm allergic to Tennessee. Sorry if anybody's from Tennessee, beautiful state, but I just have a lot of sinus issues here. But I couldn't breathe properly. I went out and bought a humidifier. And after 2 days of being able to breathe and sleep comfortably, the humidifier stopped working. I'd only had it for 2 days. It no longer worked. I couldn't get the thing to turn on. So this was my week. And I'm sure you've all had these weeks and have asked yourself, am I under a spiritual attack, or what is going on here? You know, and it just seemed like everything was happening all at once, piling up on me all at once and going haywire all at once. So that night I had to go to bed early because I was just exhausted and exasperated at the same time. But anyway, Ephesians 6:12 tells us, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. So yes, there are evil forces out there, and there are forces that work through others that cause others to do evil deeds. So today I want to talk to you about why we sometimes feel like our world is crashing down around us, and some steps to take to get through it. Because I had to really talk myself through this. So anytime I'm going through something, I like to share it because it really does help. So the first thing I came up with was spiritual attacks often happen when we're trying to move forward. Okay, I'm in the middle of preparing to move out to the West Coast. My move is just literally a couple of weeks away now. So I'm really excited about that. But I have never felt so much opposition that I've been feeling now. Obstacles, oppositions, things going wrong. While in the middle of studying for Medicare, while wanting to do what I love, which is talking about Jesus and doing my daily devotionals. And, you know, of course, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. But the enemy rarely distracts anyone who isn't moving. So if you're not doing anything, he's not going to bother you. So if you don't want to have problems or don't want to try to move forward with your life, stand still and do nothing, and not much will happen. Okay. But when you're growing, when you're becoming disciplined, stepping into what God has called you to do, that's when the opposition increases. Okay. And 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 8-9 tells us, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Resist him. Stand firm in your faith. Okay, that's so important. And notice, Peter doesn't tell us to panic. He says stay alert, stay grounded, and stand firm. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of times when people start going through things like this, they'll just be like, I'm just throwing in the towel. This is just too much. I can't take it. I've already lost almost a week of doing videos. I might as well just give it up. Who cares? Nobody cares. But I didn't do that. So you just got to keep going and not panic. The second thing I came up with is the attack is often against your consistency. Anytime you're trying to do anything consistently, you're going to have opposition. You're going to run into problems. And most believers don't quit because of a big tragedy. Because of a big tragedy, they end up quitting because of a lot of little things that are constantly going wrong in their life. So they have 1,000 frustrations. It could be technology, delays, interruptions, sickness, disappointment, discouragement, whatever it is, and they're ready to throw in the towel. The goal is often to make you stop showing up. And that's why we experience these things. But Galatians 6:9 tells us, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we faint not. Okay, which means if we don't give up, if we keep going, if we're consistent, even when there's obstacles, there's no one who reached the top. There's no one who got to where they wanted to be in life without encountering obstacles. There's just no way around it. And not only that, it becomes part of your story. It becomes part of your testimony. So don't let that stop you. Just know that it's part of your story. It's part of your testimony. You will get through it. You will get through this. okay? And notice what God promises in this verse. Not that you won't get tired, not that life won't get difficult, but that quitting is not your option. It's not your only option, okay? There's other things you can do besides quitting. You could just keep going and keep going and keep going. If you have a setback, step back. Take a break, take a breather, and then get back at it once again. But don't quit. Okay, and then the third thing I came up with is don't let temporary problems become permanent decisions. Okay, that's a big one because I've seen so many people just throw in the towel when one small thing went wrong. They got frustrated and they just gave up. They just quit. So don't do that. Sometimes we make emotional decisions because we've had an exhausting week. Okay, we decide I'm done. This is not worth it. Maybe God doesn't want me doing this. Maybe God is angry with me. Maybe I'm just not good enough to do this. It's too hard. Ask God for wisdom instead of assuming every obstacle has the same cause behind it. Now, in James 1:5, it tells us, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given to you. The enemy wants your focus, okay? He wants your focus. He wants you to just not be focused on what it is that you're trying to accomplish or what it is that you're trying to do, especially if it's something good. He doesn't want you to focus. So you have to remain focused, okay? It gets hard. It does, especially when you have no one helping you. But you have to stay the course. Now, in the New Testament, here's a thought. In the New Testament, it reminds me of Peter. When he walked on water, Jesus asked him to step out of the boat and come to him in the middle of the ocean, okay? And Peter stepped out of the boat and he started walking towards Jesus. And then all of a sudden, he started looking around and he's like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the ocean. It's thousands of feet deep. I'm standing in the middle of the ocean, and guess what happened? He started to sink and he started to panic. And what happened was his circumstances became louder than the voice of Jesus. And that happens to us a lot of times. There'll just be so much going on around us that we panic or we become fearful. And then we just are like, oh my God. And we lose our train of thought. We lose our consistency. We take time off and then more time off and more time off. And before you know it, you've just thrown in the towel altogether. So his circumstances became louder than the voice of Jesus. And you have to remember not to let that happen to you. The storm wasn't new. His focus changed, okay? He took his eyes off Jesus and he allowed his fear to creep in. And that's when he started to sink. That's when he started to just go down the rabbit hole. And that's what we end up doing too. Now, the fifth thing I came up with is God provides strength for the battle. So yes, if you're going through, spiritual warfare, if you're having these hard times, if one thing after another is happening or not happening, God helps us get through it, okay? You don't have to fight in your own strength. And Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31 tells us, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, okay? So when you're feeling depleted, God specializes in renewing exhausted people. You just have to turn to him and focus on him. Take your mind off of whatever it is that's distracting you or making you mad or just whatever, and focus on Jesus for a little bit. Put everything aside, focus on him. Get out in nature, take a walk, do things like that. And then it will help you reset and recenter. The next thing I came up with was to, let me just look at my notes here, is just put on the armor every day. Put on God's armor every day. Don't wait until everything falls apart, okay? So what this basically means is when you're putting on your armor every day, it means think about somebody who's going into battle. Okay, when they're going into battle, they're always prepared. Okay, they've got their weapons, they've got their breastplate on, or they're, if in modern times that we're in today, they, like if it's a police officer or in the military, you have on these bulletproof vests. So see it almost like an invisible bulletproof vest that you have on. And just to paraphrase, I want you to think about Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 18. I'm not going to read all of that to you. I want you to go and read it for yourself. But basically, we're given the tools to help us get through whatever it is we're going through. And I wrote some of them down from that scripture. The belt of truth. Remember, God is the source of all truth, okay? Not your neighbors, not your so-called friends, not your coworkers, okay? Not your family members. The ultimate truth comes from God, and that's the source you need to look at first and foremost before you go having a conference call with a whole bunch of people who aren't even doing anywhere near what you're doing, and they're trying to give you advice. Okay, you don't want to take that advice, so go to God first. Next, I came up with the breastplate of righteousness. Okay, so our God is a good and loving Father, and He's a righteous God. So, we want to look to Him in all things. This shield of faith. I mean, without faith, you're not going to get very far if you don't have any faith. Because if you don't have any faith, you're not going to take that leap of faith. You're not going to take that first step that God wants you to take before He steps in and opens the other doors for you. So you have to take that leap of faith. It's all over the Bible, in the Old Testament, the New Testament. Anytime God was going to do something for the people, He had them to pray about it, and then He had them to take the first step before He intervened. Okay, the helmet of salvation. Okay, you want to just pretend like you've got this helmet on, and you've got these guardian angels surrounding you, and they are just, looking out for your best interests. The sword of the Spirit. Okay, I love Psalms 94 for that. Okay, anytime you feel like you're under attack, read Psalms 94. It's such a good part of the Bible to read, and I love that particular chapter of Psalms. I don't hear a lot spoken about Psalms 94, but it's been a really good verse for me, because it really does show you how God is in your corner and how He will avenge you, especially if you've got other people coming against you. And then pray about whatever it is you're going through. Thank Him, show Him gratitude, but also pray. Don't just like, oh, woe is me, why is this constantly happening? Don't go to Him in anger. First go in gratitude. Thank Him for another day. Thank Him for giving you breath and life and the chance to do it all over again the next day, and that it will be better than the day before. So the armor isn't about living in fear. It's about being prepared. Okay. So in closing, Romans 8, chapter 8, verses 37 through 39. I'm going to paraphrase this. Basically, in all these things, we are more than conquerors through Him who loves us. Okay, so just know that you are loved, even if it doesn't feel like it. Again, even if you've got nobody in your corner, and God knows I really don't. I probably will have more resources when I get out to California, but I don't have them here. I've got family here, and they're not even in my corner. Okay, we don't even speak anymore, which is sad. And all of this over a car for my 16-year-old niece that wasn't really ready for it. So when you've got no one left standing, just remember you've got God, you've got Jesus. Jesus and God are on your side. Okay, and I want to just read this to you. So if this week has felt like everything is falling apart, maybe you're discouraged because every time you make progress, something seems to push you back. Whether you're facing spiritual warfare, an ordinary hardship, or a mix of both, don't let the obstacles define your direction. Okay? Don't let them define your direction. Stay faithful, keep praying, keep showing up, keep doing the right next thing, and you will start to make progress again. God is still with you, and He is able to carry you through every season. So even though Wednesday was absolutely horrible, Each day after that got a little better and a little better and a little better. So yes, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. It's been a long week. It's been a difficult week, but we're going to always have obstacles. We're going to always have things trying to stand in our way, stop us in our tracks. But just kind of replay this video, read these verses that I gave you. I'm also going to put some additional ones in the description of this video that you can refer to as well, because there's just so many good ones. I couldn't include all of them, or this video would have been almost an hour long. But just stay in these verses and just think about, it's okay. It's not a sentence. It's a season. Okay, so you will get through this, whatever it is that you may be going through. I promise you that. Just keep going, don't give up, and stay the course. And I hope this helped someone today.